Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. Hope your day's going okay. We are going to be having our wild moon today, so let's see what it's got to say. This one was a wild one.
The moon upright. Our painful past is coming to our present and future if we don't do something about it. This projection brings us mental anguish which gets pushed into our subconscious mind. We might be doing things unconsciously. Justice reverse. We know that we have done something wrong and we're hoping no one will notice it. The other choice is to own up to it, but either way we have to live with the consequences of our choices. We better choose wisely. Judgment reversed. This lets us know that we need to do some inner searching and self-reflection to correct the patterns that we see our lives. To do this correction we need to work on our self-forgiveness, self-acceptance, and self-love, leading to release and freedom from those patterns. The star reverse. When we do the work in judgment, we become lighter in our souls and we find our spiritual selves becoming more like kids again. When we drop those heavy burdens off our shoulders, we can run and play like the clouds do in the wind.
Like I said at the beginning, this one is pretty wild because it is literally all majors. So let's go ahead and get started on that. The moon. This is about our past coming up and affecting our present and our future. And, the future is if we don't do something about it. We always are, with things like this, we tend to project them, which really starts to mess with our mindsets. And, and we tend to push them down into our subconscious mind instead of dealing with them straight out. And that's a problem. And because if we sit there and we do push it down into that subconscious, we start to not see what we're doing. So, we kind of start reacting to things just, unconsciously we do that. We have somebody, who has really caused us some pain, and then we sit there and instead of dealing with it, we push it down. Well, guess what that's going to do? That's just going to go whoosh right up into our faces. And, we really need to look at that. Now, justice. This is in reverse. So, we absolutely do know that we have done something wrong. And we're just trying to play it off instead of facing that consequence. And we're hoping that nobody saw it. And even if nobody saw it, we know it. We know how this works. Because if we sit there and we try to not own up to it, we still know. We still have, reactions and things like that. And that becomes very serious consequences. So we need to really choose wisely on, which one we're going to go. Are we going to sit there and just, cover it up, or are we actually going to take responsibility for our reactions? Now, judgment. This is about doing our own inner work, which means, we have to really look at what we've done and notice the patterns that made that possible. So, whenever we sit there and we do that correction work, that, we actually, or should I say, that whenever we do that work, we also have to sit there and do self-forgiveness, self-acceptance, and self-love. Because, once we have forgiven ourselves for doing that, we're able to release that and get the freedom from those patterns, which means we become lighter, which goes into the start. Whenever we sit there and we do that work in the judgment card, we become lighter. And we're able to let those things go and fall off of our shoulders, and we become more like kids again. We're not worried about things coming up and ruining what we have. And, we're able to be that very open, very carefree in everything around us. We become better people by doing that work. So we are going to be having our shadow and our horror tomorrow. So come on back and see me. Do like and shares, and I'll see you guys then.